When people think of Mike Tyson, they usually think of the devastating punching power that gave him the reputation of the baddest man on the planet. But in this video, we're going to be looking at 10 heavyweights who punched harder than Tyson and looking back over their knockout reels to prove it. Starting off our list at number 10, we have Tommy Morrison. While a fight between Morrison and Tyson was rumored in the early 90s, Tyson's imprisonment from 92 to 95 derailed the potential matchup, with Morrison retiring in 1996 at just 27 years old after receiving a HIV diagnosis. Like Tyson, Morrison had a wild and reckless lifestyle outside of the ring, and his approach inside the ring wasn't much different as he went after his opponents in a fearless and aggressive manner, always looking for the knockout which he so often found. In Morrison's first 28 professional fights, he recorded 25 knockouts, with many of them coming from his devastating left hook, which he looked to unleash at every opportunity. Standing at 6'2", 230 pounds and blown up to the gills, Tommy Morrison was a monster of a man whose punching power opponents didn't want to be on the receiving end of. The former heavyweight champion Pinklin Thomas, who fought both Mike Tyson and Tommy Morrison, said that Morrison hit him even harder than Tyson did. Morrison finished his career with 48 wins, 3 losses, and 1 draw, with 42 of his wins coming by way of knockout. At number 9, we have Lennox Lewis. While a bout between Lewis and Tyson was rumored for years before it eventually came to fruition in 2002, it was widely recognized that Tyson was on the decline at this stage of his career, and Lewis dominated the fight, finishing it off with a round 8 knockout. Lewis wasn't a wild swinging knockout artist, and he instead relied on precision and timing, but when he landed clean, few opponents could withstand his power as he recorded 32 knockouts and 41 career wins. Nothing summed up Lewis's knockout threat more than the combination he landed on Hasim Rahman in their rematch fight, landing a perfect 1-2 combo to the head of Rahman in round 4 that there was simply no getting back up from. At number 8, we have David Tua. Standing at 5'10" with just a 5'10" reach, Tua was about as close as you could get to Mike Tyson in basic measurements, with the difference being that Tyson was 220 pounds of solid muscle, while Tua was even heavier, weighing in at 245 pounds for his world title fight with Lennox Lewis in the year 2000. Tua's stocky build provided him with devastating power, and his combination of mass and explosiveness made him an awkward opponent for taller heavyweights who struggled when fighting at close quarters. Tua's fighting style revolved around applying heavy pressure on his opponent, often forcing them into exchanges rather than waiting for opportunities to counter. With this approach, he was able to secure 43 knockouts in his 52 professional wins, leaving him with a final career record of 52 wins, 5 losses, and 2 draws. While his career overlapped with Tyson's, they never secured a fight against each other, which would have been a dream matchup for fans who wanted to see the two front-foot fighting knockout threats go up against each other. A fight with Tyson may have been a chance to see if Tua's granite chin could be tested, as he was never stopped throughout his career. The fastest knockout of Tua's career came against John Ruiz, who he stopped in just 19 seconds with an intense flurry of punches. Tua's barrage started after he hurt Ruiz with his signature left hook, the weapon that he finished many of his opponents with, which any heavyweight would struggle to withstand when it landed clean. At number 7, we have Deontay Wilder. While we've seen many heavyweights who could land a devastating punch throughout the decades in the heavyweight division, nobody in the modern era met the description of knockout specialist anywhere close to Deontay Wilder. Wilder started boxing at age 20, which is exceptionally late for someone who would go on to win an Olympic medal, which he managed just 3 years into his amateur career. For someone to go on to win a world championship title having started boxing at 20, it means they likely have some kind of freakish genetic advantage, and that was just what Wilder had with his height of 6'7" and 6'11" wingspan. When he loaded up his right hand, the amount of force he could produce was simply terrifying. Wilder wasn't in the same league as most of the heavyweight legends in terms of boxing fundamentals, but when it came to raw knockout power, there are very few fighters in history on Wilder's level, with him often letting his opponents know that they had to be perfect for 12 rounds, while he only had to be perfect for 2 seconds. At number 6, we have Ron Lyle. Despite not turning professional until the age of 30, Ron Lyle quickly earned a reputation as one of the hardest punchers during the 1970s, finishing his career with a record of 43-7-1 with 31 knockouts. Lyle was a fearless pressure fighter with devastating hooks and overhand rights. In his fight with Ernie Shavers in 1975, he stopped Shavers in the 6th round, and years later, Shavers would say that Lyle hit him the hardest that he had ever been hit in his life. Even George Foreman later admitted that Lyle was one of the hardest punchers he ever faced after Foreman survived one of the greatest heavyweight slugfests in boxing history against him. At number 5, we have Rocky Marciano. The only heavyweight world champion to retire undefeated, Marciano had a record of 49-0 with an incredible knockout ratio of 87.8%, securing 43 KOs during his career. Marciano could be regarded as the original short height, short reach knockout machine of the heavyweight division prior to Tyson, as he stood at 5'10.5" with an unusually short reach of 5'8". This didn't stop him from landing devastating blows on his opponents, however, and one of the most brutal single punch KOs in boxing history came in his first world title fight against Jersey Joe Walcott, where he landed his famous Susie Q right hand on Walcott in the 13th round to secure the belt after being behind on the scorecards. Marciano was known for being an attritional fighter who could take punishment and keep going after his opponent, leading to opportunities to unleash a brutal power punch and put his opponent to sleep with one of the most dangerous right hands in heavyweight history. At number 4, we have Joe Louis. Louis had an illustrious career that finished with 25 heavyweight title defenses, which is a still standing record. His record of 66 wins and 3 losses included 52 knockouts, and unlike many fighters who sought KOs through raw aggression, Louis relied on his flawless technique, often picking his opponents apart with combinations, which set up chances to deliver a perfectly executed straight right hand to give him the knockout victory. What made the power of Louis so feared was that it appeared so effortless due to his textbook punching mechanics. He didn't give opponents time to anticipate his killer shots with wild swings, but could deliver a knockout blow while appearing patient and entirely controlled. The fact that Louis's opponents first had to worry about his technical boxing ability before contending with his power that could stop the fight at any moment made him a nightmare matchup to deal with. At number 3, we have Sonny Liston. Liston was a physical anomaly as he had a 7-foot reach at a height of 6'1", which gave him one of the most feared jabs in boxing history. He had tremendous power in both hands and was one of the best examples of raw punching strength the sport has ever seen. Liston faced Floyd Patterson in his first world title fight in 1962, and he completely demolished Patterson, ending the fight with a knockout in the first round. The rematch would end in similar fashion as Liston again won a one-sided fight, ending the bout in just the first round after he knocked Patterson down 3 times. Liston put his opponents under extreme pressure with his jab, which broke many fighters down, but he also had good technical ability, which combined with pure physical strength and power made him one of the most dangerous heavyweights from any era. Liston ended his career with 50 wins, 4 losses, and 39 KOs. At number 2, we have George Foreman. Foreman has the 3rd highest knockout tally in heavyweight history with 68 knockouts from his 76 career wins, as he retired from boxing with a record of 76 wins and 5 losses. Foreman wasn't known for his speed or explosiveness, but instead for his heavy punches that carried extreme force thanks to his immense natural power. It was Foreman's power and willingness to trade blows with his opponent that made him a very dangerous knockout threat well into his 40s, as he became the oldest heavyweight champion ever at 45 with his victory over Michael Moorer in 1994, finishing the fight with a devastating right hand. His final win of his career came at age 48 against Lou Savarese, and his final fight was a controversial decision loss to Shannon Briggs, also at age 48, which he retired after. While many of the greatest knockout threats had a signature punch that ended their fights, Foreman could strike with knockout power from almost any punch with both hands, meaning the risk of trading blows with him was extremely high, and Foreman used this to his advantage by pressuring his opponents and forcing them into exchanges. Foreman won his first world championship title in 1973 by dismantling the previously unbeaten Joe Frazier. He dropped Frazier an astonishing 6 times in just 2 rounds, producing one of the most dominant title-winning performances ever. Some other impressive wins in his career came against Ken Norton in 1974, who had beaten Muhammad Ali the previous year, and Ron Lyle in 1976, where he traded blows with Lyle in one of the hardest-hitting heavyweight contests in history. At number 1, we have Ernie Shavers. With a career knockout percentage of 92%, recording 70 KOs and 76 wins, Shavers has the 2nd highest knockout tally in heavyweight history, behind only Primo Carnera with 71. Shavers was regarded by many of his opponents as the hardest puncher they ever faced, with legends such as Muhammad Ali, Larry Holmes, and Ron Lyle describing him as such. One of the most dominant performances of Shaver's career came against Ken Norton, who he stopped in the first round after a relentless assault of punches that Norton had no answer to. What made Shaver so dangerous was his incredible one-punch power. Even when seemingly outboxed, he only needed a single clean shot to completely change the course of a fight. His explosive right hand was capable of ending contests instantly, and opponents knew they had to remain switched on for every second they shared the ring with him. Shavers did possess technical skill that made him more than just a knockout artist, but when a boxer is so widely regarded by fans and legendary opponents alike as the hardest punching heavyweight ever, it's easy to give him the label as the hardest punching boxer of all time.